Let's talk about the most powerful magic in the wizarding world, denial. It's not a spell you'll find in any textbook, but it's more effective than most charms or hexes. Denial can make entire problems disappear, at least in the minds of those who wield it. It's the art of pretending nothing's wrong, even as chaos brews just beneath the surface. And no one wields this magic better than the British Ministry of Magic. They've practically made it their official policy, perfecting the craft over generations. Their specialty? Staring straight at disaster and insisting, with a straight face, that everything's absolutely fine. If there's a crisis, you can count on them to look the other way. When Voldemort returned, did they warn the public or take action? Not at all. Instead, they launched a campaign against Harry and Dumbledore, painting them as troublemakers and liars, rather than confronting the real threat. It's like blaming the smoke detector for a fire, or shooting the messenger because you don't like the message. The Ministry would rather silence warnings than face uncomfortable truths. And this isn't a one-time blunder, it's their default setting. Denial is baked into the very walls of the Ministry, repeated over and over, no matter the crisis. Dementors escape Azkaban. The Ministry simply pretends nothing happened, hoping the public won't notice the danger lurking outside their doors. They count on the public swallowing comfortable lies over scary truths, offering soothing headlines and official statements to keep everyone calm and unquestioning. Denial is their superpower, no wand required. It's a kind of magic that works on minds, not objects. Even if a dragon landed in the minister's office, they'd call it a cauldron thickness debate and issue a memo about cauldron safety, rather than admit the obvious. This isn't just incompetence, it's a deliberate strategy to keep power and keep everyone else in the dark. By controlling the narrative, they control the people. And as we'll see, the Ministry has plenty of tools to make denial stick: redactions, censorship, and a whole arsenal of ways to keep the truth hidden. How does the Ministry convince everyone Voldemort's return is a hoax? Simple: control the media. The Daily Prophet isn't a newspaper, it's the Ministry's megaphone. It prints whatever the minister wants, dressed up as news. The minister doesn't need to give orders. A quiet word with the editor is enough. Suddenly, Dumbledore's a dangerous crackpot, and Harry's a delusional kid. The truth never stands a chance. This is Propaganda 101. Shape the narrative, not just report it. The message? Everything's fine. Anyone who disagrees is crazy. The Prophet uses headlines, anonymous sources, and twisted quotes to turn public opinion into a weapon. Rita Skeeter, their star reporter, literally bugs people for dirt, and gets rewarded for it. The Prophet isn't about facts. It's about selling lies and propping up the Ministry. It's the Ministry's most loyal and dangerous house elf. Let's take a closer look at the Daily Prophet's most infamous moments, its greatest propaganda hits that shaped the wizarding world's beliefs and fears. After the chaos of the Tri-Wizard Tournament, Harry returns to Hogwarts traumatized and grieving, but the Prophet refuses to acknowledge the truth, calling Cedric's death a mere accident and painting Harry as unstable, unreliable, and even dangerous. For months, the front pages scream with headlines like, "Harry Potter Disturbed and Dangerous." The repetition is relentless, hammering the message into every home and shop in the wizarding world. Every action Harry takes is twisted, every word scrutinized. The Prophet interviews so-called sources, prints rumors as facts, and turns a traumatized teenager into a national punchline, fueling gossip and suspicion. Dumbledore, too, becomes a target. The Prophet runs stories like Dumbledore, Daft or Dangerous, and uses unflattering photos to undermine his authority and wisdom, making even the most respected wizard seem untrustworthy. Behind the scenes, the Ministry of Magic pulls the strings, using the Prophet as a weapon to isolate and discredit anyone who dares to challenge their narrative or question their power. The message is clear and chilling: stand with Harry and Dumbledore, and you'll be next in the headlines, your reputation destroyed. The campaign works. Friends begin to doubt Harry, parents grow anxious, and the public, bombarded by lies, starts to believe the worst. Trust erodes, and fear spreads like wildfire. It's far easier for people to believe that one boy is lying than to accept a terrifying truth that would shatter their sense of safety. The Prophet doesn't just report lies, it crafts them, repeating them until they feel real, until even the most outlandish stories become accepted as fact. In doing so, it builds a prison of misinformation around the wizarding world, brick by brick, headline by headline. And for a long time, almost nobody even notices the bars closing in, until it's nearly too late to break free. When denial and propaganda fail, the ministry finds a scapegoat. It's classic. When disaster strikes, blame someone powerless. This lets the ministry look decisive while dodging responsibility. The goal isn't fixing problems, it's self-preservation. Admitting mistakes would show weakness, so they point fingers instead. Remember the Azkaban breakout? Instead of admitting a security failure, Fudge blames Sirius Black. No evidence needed. The public gets a familiar villain, and the real issues go ignored. When Arthur Weasley is attacked inside the ministry, do they investigate? No, they cover it up. Dementors attack Harry. He's put on trial, not the ministry. The pattern: disaster, panic, and an innocent person takes the fall. The system stays broken, ready to fail again. For the ministry, scapegoating is business as usual. Sirius Black is the ministry's ultimate scapegoat, a name whispered in fear and splashed across every headline. To the public, he's the face of evil, the perfect villain to distract from the ministry's own failings. Act 1. Framed for murder, Sirius is thrown into Azkaban. No trial, no questions. The evidence is never truly examined, and the real story is buried beneath sensational headlines. The ministry needs someone to blame, and Sirius fits the bill perfectly. The ministry needs a win, so they lock up an innocent man. It's easier to close the case than to admit mistakes. Justice is sacrificed for the sake of public confidence. Act 2. Sirius escapes Azkaban, embarrassing the ministry and exposing cracks in their so-called security. Suddenly, the narrative is out of their control. Instead of investigating, they send Dementors to silence him. Dead men tell no tales. The ministry would rather erase Sirius than risk the truth coming out. Act 3. The truth comes out. Pettigrew is alive. Sirius is innocent. But the ministry is slow to react, clinging to their old story even as the facts unravel. Fudge refuses to believe it, lets Pettigrew escape, and keeps hunting Sirius. Admitting the truth would mean admitting years of failure and corruption. Admitting the truth would unravel everything: wrongful imprisonment, a real traitor on the loose, and a system built on lies. The ministry's reputation is more important than justice. So, the ministry clings to the lie to protect itself, shredding evidence and locking away the truth. Sirius loses 13 years to Azkaban, not because of Voldemort, but because the ministry needs a villain. His life is stolen, not by dark magic, but by bureaucracy and fear. He's hunted, forced into hiding, and sacrificed for appearances. The real danger is a government that values its image over its people. The ministry cares about looking strong, not about justice. Their power depends on the illusion of control, even if it means destroying innocent lives. Sirius Black is proof the system will destroy lives to protect itself. His story is a warning about what happens when institutions value reputation over truth. In the end, justice is just a casualty, lost in the ministry's desperate game of misdirection. Sirius isn't the only victim of the ministry's scapegoating. Take Stan Shunpike, the night bus conductor, arrested as a Death Eater just to make the ministry look tough. Stan's innocence doesn't matter. He's an easy headline. He's locked in Azkaban, a pawn in the ministry's PR game. Then, there's Hagrid. When the Chamber of Secrets opens, the ministry blames the big, awkward kid with a pet spider. No proof needed. 50 years later, the chamber reopens, and who do they arrest? Hagrid again. No new evidence, just the same old scapegoat. It's easier to blame Hagrid than admit something darker is at work. For the ministry, people like Stan and Hagrid are just collateral damage. Their lives are expendable if it means the ministry can claim order. The illusion of control always comes first. The real problem isn't just one bad minister, it's the system itself. The ministry exists to protect its own power, not the people. Denial, propaganda, and scapegoating aren't mistakes, they're the foundation. The bureaucracy is so bloated it's lost its purpose. Absurd laws and endless paperwork matter more than real threats. The system punishes Harry for saving himself, but lets Lucius Malfoy buy his way out of trouble. Dolores Umbridge thrives here. She's the ministry's perfect enforcer, using rules as weapons. The ministry promotes her, giving her power to crush dissent. Even good people inside, like Arthur Weasley, are powerless to change it. The rot is deep, rewarding conformity, and punishing integrity. The Ministry isn't a shield, it's a cage, trapping everyone in ignorance. Voldemort is defeated, the war is won, but the Ministry survives. Kingsley Shacklebolt takes over, but the structure remains. The same bureaucracy that enabled denial and injustice is still standing. Voldemort wasn't the disease, he was a symptom. The real sickness is a system obsessed with power and terrified of truth. The Ministry's denial gave Voldemort time to rise again. When he takes over, he just uses the existing machinery, departments, propaganda, laws. The transition to evil is seamless because the system was already corrupt. So while everyone celebrates, the real villain, the system, gets away. It's the system that let the Malfoys walk free, ignored the oppressed, and taught fear and prejudice. Voldemort could be defeated. The rot that enabled him is much harder to kill. It just waits for the next crisis to reassert control. So, what's the lesson? Not that all governments are evil, but that unchecked power is dangerous. The Ministry wasn't defeated by magic, but by people who refuse to stay silent. Real magic is accountability, a free press, demanding evidence, protecting the innocent and admitting mistakes. It's building a system where scapegoats like Stan and Sirius can't be sacrificed for politics. After Voldemort, the wizarding world got a second chance. The hope is they rebuilt not just buildings but institutions. The hope is a government that listens, that values truth over comfort. Denial isn't a policy, it's poison. The real villain isn't always obvious. Sometimes it's the system itself. Fighting that villain takes courage. The courage to stand up and say, the minister is wrong and here's the truth. That's a kind of magic we all need.